Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I am once again simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle, and I appreciate you all coming by to see me here this evening. And we got a lot to talk about. When the boss looks at you and says you're late, you got a problem, okay? And that's what Iran heard today, that they're late. And didn't I say day before yesterday and the day before that, they know exactly where he is. Daggone if the very next day that turned out to be the case. Okay, so we got this situation going on between the mullah and DJT. How will it end? We know how it will end. Well, as we get people coming into the chats, I'm going to play some videos while you all come in, and we can talk about all of it.
Jr., he was declared the front-runner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found.
Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement.
In 2015, Walter Scheib, a White House chef hired under Bill Clinton, joined the list. His body was found at the bottom of a river, nearly 2 miles from the base of the trail he was reportedly hiking. An autopsy determined that Scheib's death was accidental drowning, but he might have known too much. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was shot and killed in D.C. this year. There is speculation that he was the source of the controversial leaked emails allegedly sent by DNC staffers, and that he may have been murdered in retaliation. Then Sean Lucas, the lead attorney in a fraud case against the DNC, was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on August 2nd. His death was reported classified, pending the results of an...
Why are our Democrat colleagues so determined to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens? And I'd like to suggest that perhaps it's because they benefit from it politically. Remember that every state is apportioned congressional seats based on population, not based on citizenship. Counting non-citizens in congressional apportionment has resulted in more seats for blue states and fewer congressional seats for red states.
Storm zone. Yes, sir. I'm wondering what storm you're talking about. They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give President tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time. You got to get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. Nice to see you all. Let's see. Oh, my screen went black. Holy cow, I got to get something on the screen. There we go. We got Mr. T. So I hope you all having a great night. And I see people are coming in. We want to see what's going on. Hi, Wayne. How you doing? Thank you for helping sponsor the program the other night on Buy Me a Coffee. Todd, how are you doing? Sissy, Lucky, Darla, Robin, Colette, Gloria, Rebecca, Whiskey, Gary. Nice to see you. Debbie's here. Pappy Two Bears, nice to see you also. Whoa, come on, comments. Get moving. Flannel Cheese, Brush, how you doing? Yvonne, nice to see you. Kim. All right, everybody's filing in. Wow, we got a lot of stuff to go over. You know, speaking about over, mullah this over. New York Times put this out. Or New York Post, I'm sorry. Hey, Ayatollah, mullah this over. So people are all going wacko, and they're saying there's splits in the party between people that don't want to invade Iraq and don't want us to get into Iran and get into another never-ending war, blah, blah, blah. It's all nonsense. Okay, hi, Araceli. KNS Cleanup, how you doing? Lori, nice to see you. So, yeah, it's over. And I know, as I've said many times before, a pat on the back is 18 inches away from a kick in the pants. But my last two broadcasts, I said, they know exactly where he is. They've got eyes on him. And sure enough, yesterday, Donald Trump put out a truth, and he also said it at a presser, a gaggle. We know where he's at. He's an easy target. So if you look at the big picture, what's the big picture tell you? One of my titles was a pariah state or Persian Empire. That's their choices. Nobody in the region likes them. Syria put out a open notice that their airspace was available for any country who wants to attack Iran, not Israel. I mean, for crying out loud, even Hitler had a few friends, but doesn't look like the Ayatollah has many. And people were saying things like, well, if we get involved, it'll lead to a wider conflict. With who? Iran and Cameroon? They have no backing. They're isolated. Now they've gotten themselves in a corner that if they don't change their leadership, they will be a pariah state. And Trump knows this, but here we have ABC, I believe this is, Trump calls for Iran's unconditional surrender, calls Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei an easy target. Yeah, it's ABC. Trump wrote a threatening post. Threatening post, yeah. They've been screaming death to America for 40 flipping years. They financed the insurgency, planning IEDs in Iraq. Okay. Saddam was captured. Saddam was gone. Who do they think was financing all that stuff? This guy's got BLOOD up to his elbows, this Ayatollah. He's not going to be permitted to stay in power. He'll be lucky if he's permitted to live. He's in hiding, calling him an easy target. Trump's not threatening anybody. He's being realistic. He's being realistic, and I live in real world. I look at the big picture and the pieces on the board, and hey, it's over. So how are they going to go out? How are they going to go out? Here is, I might as well go over real quick some of the garbage they put out. Now, who is doing it? Is it just the remnants of a failed regime? They put this out in Arabic. It says maybe. And guess how long this little clip is? 17 seconds. So a very clear threat that they have a nuclear device. Here's another 17 seconds right here. Some of the volume on this is a little rough, but this came from Ruski land. See the translation at the bottom?
He actually offered to help mediate. I said, do me a favor. Mediate your own. Let's mediate Russia first, okay? I said, Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. You can worry about this later. But I think that's going to work out too, but it's so many people have been killed.
That was Trump after he talked to Vladimir Putin. Told him, work on your own war. Meanwhile, Midas Trash, do you think they paying attention to that, or their followers? Because Trump is a Russian asset. Here you had Trump tell Putin to his face, you take care of your war. I'll take care of this one, okay? G7 declaration of support for Ukraine. Their psyop is that Trump was scared of Zelensky. That's why he left. Trump didn't want to waste his time. Zelensky's not part of the G7. Zelensky is a double talker. Zelensky wants money. Zelensky wants weapons. We ain't got time for him tonight. Ain't nobody got time for that. Carney and world leaders could not persuade Trump before he left for Washington to sign a joint declaration of support for Ukraine that contained, quote, strong language exerting pressure on Russia. Right when all this stuff is going on with Iran, a regime for nearly half a century has been terrorizing the world, is ready to topple, and Carney wants Trump to hang out with Zelensky and poke at Putin. These people don't have our good in mind. They don't have our good in mind. This was Trump during the flag raising. That clip I just showed you. Where he, somebody, somebody said it was a beautiful flag. I think it was Debbie may have said that. Hi, Miss Mindersue, MS Motorsports. Whose ring? Whiskey? Spell it BL00. Hi, Sherry. Let's see. Wildflower, nice to meet you. Let's see. Who else? Did I miss anybody? Yeah, Z's controlled. We got to take care of Iran. I mean, people can say, well, Israel this, Israel that. I remember when they took over the embassy. I remember when they bombed the barracks in Beirut and killed 241 Marines. How many people remember that? How many people are old enough to remember that? And I was going to put on my thumbnail, best served cold. Because of this, let me find it. This little bit of news that I am going to wait for confirmation. Who remembers this person? Who remembers this guy? Let's see how good people's histories are, especially people that think they know what's going on in this world. Who remembers this person? Hi, Todd. Does anyone know who this person was? Oh, Wildflower's making a smart aleck comment. I don't know your age, Wildfire, but something tells me if you don't realize the seriousness of removing Iran from the equation with nuclear weapons, okay? And if you want to engage, that's fine. Just keep it clean and whatever. I'll be happy to educate you. Educate. I enjoy conversations with people who are just getting involved in this international stuff. Assad is in Russia. And Russia reportedly gave the Ayatollah a chance to go in exile, I guess, along with Assad. Former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Remember that name, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad? Was killed in an assassination attempt in Tehran. Doesn't sound like an attempt. Portal reports with reference to Azerbaijan television. According to information, the former politician was offed in a street shooting. However, other media outlets refute these reports and claim that, in fact, it was Faridun Abbasi who played an important role in Iran's nuclear program, who was unalived. If it was this person, he was one of the so-called, quote, students that held our American citizens hostage in 1979 that ushered in the overthrow of the Shah of Iran and the return of the mullahs and the Ayatollah Khomeini and the start of the Middle East terror conglomerate that we've been dealing with for nearly half a century. So he's in his middle 70s to late 70s, if he's alive. But getting him's been a long time coming. And if they didn't get him now, they'll get him later. Hi, Melinda. How you doing? I don't see Wildflower back again with any comments worth a hoot. So that's okay. If you got one, go ahead. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I don't know if he was involved in the Olympics. Could have been. He a planner. Well, yeah, they stick together. This picture here is a little bit unnerving. Things to look out for. There is a missile flying over. You guys know what's flying over? What is it flying over? Do you all recognize that structure? Did I get the coffee fund yet? Last I checked, it was Wayne a couple of day before yesterday, and people from last week. On the 12th was Miss Mindersue. She made something for me, but like I said, right now we have to love each other from afar. I have some choices to make coming up here soon with how I'm going to be broadcasting. So, because of changes they're making. No, it doesn't look like the Capitol. There, Pappy got it. Pappy got it. Oh, you did tonight? Well, thank you, Whiskey. Thank you so much. I appreciate you going by. Buy me a coffee. I will put up some fireworks for you when I get my pow there, pow, pow, pow. Thank you so much, Whiskey, for going by. Buy me a coffee. If it wasn't for Wayne, halfway through the third week, I was going to get skunked if it wasn't for Wayne. So, anyway, this is Iranian missiles against the backdrop of the Temple Mount and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is also known as the Dome of the Rock. And my dad told me years ago, do you know what would hit the fan if something happens to the dome? When you see that golden dome go, when you see that golden dome go up, it's Katie, bar the door. And that leaves me, we're dealing with desperate people. We're also dealing with conniving people. So somebody takes that out and blames it on Israel, blames it on America. That would be a last-ditch effort to get this pariah state any kind of allies with all the Muslim nations around. Just a thought. And then there would be people that say, well, maybe the Israelis would do it to blame Iran. And then Iran would say, well, no, of course we didn't do it. They did, there you go, back and forth. So let's hope they have a robust defense system around the holy site, because it's more than just the Dome of the Rock and the Wailing Wall. It's much more than that to billions around the world. Do you know where they built the Dome of the Rock, they claim, was where the last hoof strike of the winged horse that took Muhammad to heaven is where they claimed they built the Dome of the Rock. Ha ha, Miss Mindersue put boom, boom, boom. Ha ha, sissy, boom. Ha ha ha. No, Lori, yeah, we still say Katie, bar the door. Katie, bar that door. So, yeah, there would be trouble. Oh, I can go back real far. I want to see, holy cow. Oh, my. Anyway, let's see. Well, you know what? We had another PSYOP. And when things seem too crazy to be true, it's probably not. But anyway, you know Mike Huckabee's stuck over there, and so is Scott Jennings. Keep that in mind. Scott Jennings from CNN, keep that in mind. Tucker Carlson, former Fox News host, Tucker Carlson calls the network propaganda used to manipulate elderly people. Talking about the Fox News channel. Remember that? Carlson going off the reservation, saying that Trump would destroy his legacy if he allowed America to get involved in a war. Here he is, released this early clip of a confrontation or supposedly interview with Ted Cruz that had everybody talking.
But I just want to pull that thread because it's so important. I voted for Donald Trump. I campaigned for Donald Trump. Yeah.
He's letting everybody know he voted for Donald Trump. But here's what he was saying before that. He tried to put Ted Cruz in the corner about what's the population of Iran. You don't even know. Well, you're talking about invading the country. You don't even know their population.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
Who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Look, he's making faces. He's mocking. And I said, what the H is wrong with you, Tucker Carlson? These are clips he let leak out before. Well, he didn't leak them. He put them out like previews. Here he is again. And, the average viewer, you see him laughing, making fun of Ted Cruz, turning on Trump. And everybody's like, what are you talking about, Tucker Carlson? Don't you know Iran can't have a nuclear missile? But anyway, here's another clip.
Does Mossad share all of its intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot. Really? We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all... Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us. And I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that. And by the way, I'm not mad at them. But you're an American lawmaker, so I just want to know, hold on, I want to know your attitude. Yeah. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion. I
said guiding, the overwhelming, I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest...
But let's find for a second that it takes place, as you know, and including on the president of the United States and several presidents. And I just want to know if that's okay and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry. I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't want to be spied on by you. Is that... It's kind of weird not to say that, but you don't seem able to say that.
So here he is. Talking about Israel spying on America. You don't even know the how many people live in the country. Really coming across to be against the situation and against Trump. Even to the point where you had competing networks putting out, oh, there's a shift in MAGA, a rift. They're tearing each other apart over Trump, the way he's handling Iran. And of course, if I was Iran and Obama wormed his way into office, and the CIA chief Brennan was a Muslim and a former communist, and Bill and Hillary Clinton were selling secrets to China, I would be spying on them too. I would be spying on America too. Here's who they're trying to resurrect. I'll talk about him in a minute. Of course you would spy on America if they were able to infiltrate our country so much as to have this jihadist as president. But I'll get back to him in a minute. Well, who was it said they watched the whole interview? Lori. Lori said she watched the whole interview because here is the end result. This is what you call a top-level psyop.
But I just want to pull that thread because it's so important. I voted for Donald Trump. I campaigned for Donald Trump. Yeah. He's our president. And we're on the cusp of a war. So if there's evidence that Iran paid hitmen to kill Donald Trump and is currently doing that, where's that? Like, what are you even talking? I've never heard that before.
Okay.
Where's the evidence? Who are these people? Why haven't they been arrested? Why are we not at war with Iran?
That's a great question to ask.
How do you know that that's true?
We know that it's true because we have been told that by the military and our intelligence community for the last 2 years.
We meaning who?
Congress has and the public. I mean, we've had multiple testimonies. I can send you testimony.
Do we know the names of the people or where this happened or what they tried to do to kill Trump?
We do not. We have not apprehended an Iranian hitman trying to kill him. We know that Iran is trying to do so.
In the United States?
Yes. And by the way, like Iran...
This just seems like a huge headline, and you're acting like everyone knows this. I didn't know that.
Iran put out a whole video about murdering Trump.
Right, but I've never heard evidence that there are hitmen in the United States. I mean, trying to kill Trump right now, we should, have a nationwide dragnet on this, and we should attack Iran immediately if that's true. Don't you think?
No.
If they're trying to assassinate our president?
They have been for 2 years.
Then why are we at war with them?
We are trying to
Why don't we just nuke Tehran if they're trying to murder our president? There's nothing that you could do that would be worse for the United States than murdering Trump. And I just don't
Amen. I
understand
agree with
why
that.
you're not calling for the use of nuclear weapons against the Ayatollah right now. I'm serious. If you really believe they're trying
The
to
use
murder
of nuclear weapons, see,
whatever
that's part
it
of the
takes.
problem of. So
what do you mean? You don't seem to take the allegations seriously. I do. If you believe they're trying to murder Trump, we need to stop what we're doing and punish them.
Did you see that, folks? I'm looking at the comments. What makes a good movie? Great actors. The clips I showed you were a build-up, making fun of Ted Cruz, saying that Trump's presidency will be destroyed if he goes after Iran. Builds anticipation, widens the audience where not just conservatives watch Tucker Carlson. Everybody wants to watch this. The liberals want to watch it because Tucker said Trump is screwing up. He's going to destroy his presidency. They build a big audience up. Then you see this clip. Information, you know, I know, that Tucker Carlson knew about the hit teams that were talked about that had been dropped off to get Trump before he even got elected. Anyone with a brain that knows when you have 30 to 50 million people pour into this country that there's going to be sleeper cells, there's going to be bad actors, I'll put it that way, assassins. But he's playing dumb. He's playing dumb. And then, when everybody tunes in to the interview, holy cow, you're saying there's hit squads in the country that want to kill the president? We should do something about it. How come we're not bombing them right now? Don't you see? His father was CIA. He's from the farm. Ted Cruz's father. Donald Trump mentioned Ted Cruz's father. C.I.A. Kennedy assassination. Blindsided Ted Cruz with it. Now they're playing for the White Hats. Ted Cruz always did. Ted Cruz probably didn't even know about his father. But Tucker Carlson been ringing the bell for the better part of a week. Tearing down Trump's approach, saying it was a disastrous approach. He's going to have this big interview. Everybody tunes in. Caps the interview off with, holy cow, I never knew they were trying to assassinate Trump, and if they are, we should do something as a country. White hats. White hat psyop to wake people up. I hope you all understand where I'm getting at and see how this little game works. Tucker said, why haven't they been arrested? Oh, yeah, he's acting dumb. They haven't been arrested because they're in hiding. They're undercover. They're probably getting help from black hats in the C.I.A. Did you notice when Trump said, I know where they're at. I know where he's at. He's an easy target. I'm trying to see if I can find that. My studio is not flowing correctly. Well, everybody's read that post, right? Where Trump said, we know where he's at. He'd be an easy target. Let me see if this is it. No, this is poll numbers for Trump, which of course are going up. Great poll numbers for Trump. But anyway, my point is that Trump said something very curious about that. He said, I don't want civilians to lose their lives. Here we go. I think this is it. You got to pay attention to the fine points. Unconditional surrender. But before that, and I'll repeat it, I said this 3 days ago, 2 days ago, while I was in my repose yesterday, Trump put this out. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. What else do you get out of this message? Let me read it to you and think kidneys. I'm poking my side of my head. Use your kidneys. He is an easy target, but is safe there. He's safe. We're not going to take him out. KILL. At least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Did you all catch that? He's safe where he is. They know where he is. They don't want to do anything because they don't want to hurt civilians or American soldiers. What does that mean? Black hats in the military protecting him, putting him somewhere where there happens to be American soldiers. And if we strike where he is, they'll lose their lives. They may not even know. He may be clandestinely smuggled into a nearby base by black hats. And that's Trump's little way of letting them know. You're hiding him near our own soldiers. Because they're not completely cleaned out. Here's another example of an attempt to cause an American reaction. It was reported that 2 cargo ships were struck by Houthi missiles in the Straits of Hormuz. I didn't hear about it in the American media, but I heard about it in the Middle Eastern and Ruski media. Turns out 2 tankers are burning after a collision near the Strait of Hormuz. A collision, and it's clearly, there was a short video, it was clearly 2 separate ships that hit one another. It looks like one ship broadsided the other. How do you pull that off? Then claim it was a missile attack. So the U.S. Starts up stuff in Yemen? A planned collision called a missile strike. That's why I was putting up that picture of the Golden Dome. The Dome of the Rock. And yes, I saw that comment earlier. Someone made that it's an insult to the Jews. Of course, that's where this is Temple Mount. It was where the second temple was. And that was the purpose of the Muslims building there, was to smother out the location of the second temple. And yes, it is an affront to the Jewish people. And that's when they came up with stories about Muhammad flying on a flying carpet and the winged horse taking him to ascend to heaven, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What we're looking for is stability. What we're looking for is peace. Because remember, Jesus said about that temple, I'll not leave one stone on top of the other. So the designs for that land are for the Lord. And anything we try to pull isn't going to change that. So here's a signal to all the politicians and congressmen. Right here. Remember this guy? Who are we looking at there? Mr. Happy. I feel terrible for anybody who gets themselves in this situation. I'm not experiencing Schadenfreude. I'm just saying what's happening. You guys know who this is? Miss Mendersohn knows. Former Senator Menendez begins serving his 11-year sentence. That was yesterday. Gold Bar Bob, that's right. Former Senator Bob Menendez arrived at a federal prison on Tuesday to begin serving an 11-year sentence for accepting bribes and what? Acting as an agent for Egypt. Remember John Kerry. Remember the Muslim Brotherhood. And who else do we got to remember? This right here. Sending $125 billion in gold and cash with no record, no congressional record of it, no record of it except from classified documents that they're not allowed to destroy, that the military has their hands on. Where'd that money come from? And why the hell was it sent for Iran to use? The world's chief sponsor of terror. Well, USA Today. Former President Barack Obama warned about a weak commitment to democracy by President Donald Trump's administration and the U.S. drifting into an autocracy or autocracy during a speech in Connecticut. Anywhere else, they'd be throwing rotten apples at him and eggs and tomatoes. If you follow regularly what is said by those who are in charge of the federal government right now, there is a weak commitment to our understanding of how a liberal democracy is supposed to work. A liberal democracy? Who the hell said we had that? You're supposed to be a constitutional scholar, you dimwit. We have a democratic republic. If we can keep it. So anyway, he's one that's got to be worried. He's one that's got to be worried. And who's this guy working for? Anybody know whose that is in the picture? His nickname is Too Late. Not just the mullah's too late. It's interesting to me that Trump is using that same phrase for the mullah and this guy. Because from the mullah, he's demanding unconditional surrender or destruction. So too late, Powell. That's right. That's right, Wanda. Jerry, everybody got it. Miss Mendersohn, whiskey, yeah. Too late, Powell. Explosive. Trump calls Powell a very stupid guy for refusing to lower rates. There's no rational reason for not lowering rates. There is every reason in the world to lower them. The prior, air quotes, administration has got us on the brink of an economic disaster with the trillions of dollars in debt. They can't blame it on Trump. and 50 million people in our country with their hands out coming for the gravy. But he's still keeping them high. Who's he working for? Maybe Gold Bar Bob could give us some insight as to how this stuff works. Can you help us out, Gold Bar Bob? Here, what I was talking about. This popped up out of the ground bunch. Now this impact, brought to you by USAID and fully supported by sites like YouTube. Okay. MAGA is tearing itself apart over Trump's involvement with Iran. MAGA is turning on Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now you read this, they're touting this. They're putting Marjorie Taylor Greene's words up on their site. Now what she's saying is not a swipe at Trump. Anyone slobbering for the U.S. to become fully involved in the Israel-Iran war is not America First MAGA. That's not saying anything about Trump. And Trump has said he prefers they come to the negotiation table. He's letting Israel do the dirty work, really. And then Tucker pulls the rug out from a mall and exposes the assassination plots by Iran and others. And what were we told? We were told when texts and other communication comes out between three-letter agencies concerning harming or doing away with the president and or his family, what would happen to those three-letter agencies? Wait for it. It's going to come out, folks. What else did we have? What else do we have? We had things coming out all yesterday. Whoa, wait a minute. Where is some of my... Here we go. Here we go. What the heck? Come on. There we go. Trump is considering, Wall Street Journal, Trump is considering a number of options, including a possible U.S. strike on Iran. Administration officials told the Wall Street Journal. No decision has been made yet. The U.S. president, who has previously pushed for a diplomatic solution, wants to make sure Iran cannot develop nuclear capabilities. Okay. That's true. Oh, who's this? A resolution. All typed up for Congress. Republican Congressman Thomas Massey. He's jumping on the bash Trump bandwagon again. Republican Thomas Massey introduced a resolution aimed at banning U.S. involvement in the Israeli-Iran war. Well, before everybody jumps up and goes, he's right, we shouldn't get involved. You have got to threaten to get involved because the world cannot afford to have a bunch of fanatical, psychotic mullahs to have an atomic bomb. This is not our war. Even if it were our war, Congress should decide these issues in accordance with our Constitution, Massey said. Is he playing a bad guy? Earlier, similar draft resolutions were introduced by Congress Democrat Tim Kaine and independent Senator Bernie Sanders. Oh, Massey, you're joining hands with Tim Kaine and Bernie Sanders. No, Trump's got to have the stick. I call it the stick. the threat, the ability. What good is it to hold a stick over their head if it's made out of wet noodle? A wet noodle. It could all be an act. Yes, I agree. What's this one here? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm having problems with my studio. German Chancellor Merz on Iran. Israel does the dirty work for all of us. Remember I told you about German tankers helping out? British fighter jets helping out? Trump on Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei. That's where he said, we know where you're at. We'll not unalive him now, but we warn against attacks on civilians or U.S. soldiers. That's not exactly what that truce said. He said he didn't want to strike there because he didn't want to hurt U.S. soldiers. The Pentagon has raised the alarm and put U.S. troops on high alert at bases across the Middle East, including the UAE, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. The United States has deployed more than 40,000 troops in the region. Well, we've had them there. We haven't added anybody. Talk to Joe Biden about it. Talk to Barack Hussein Obama about that. They claim this flew over Israel for the first time. It's a specific kind of combat drone that the Iranians have bragged about. Oh, what in the world? I hope is my voice coming through choppy? Because the studio is not playing along with me. There we go. They're saying that this came out. There's some pictures of it flying there. This came out right around the time they were claiming maybe we got a bomb and maybe we don't. And they said that something's going to happen perhaps as early as this evening that would be talked about for centuries. Centuries, you say? This is what it's called. The Shahed 181 spotted over Golan Heights. Earlier today, a curious video played emerged that showed a flying unmanned aerial vehicle over the Golan Heights. Debate quickly started over what it was, but its near contemporaneous appearance with Israeli alerts over Iranian drone activity in the region, as well as being propeller-powered, suggests us the Shahed 181 is now seeing combat deployment. They say likely being used for reconnaissance work, both to provide targeting data directly, but also able to map out Israeli whatever networks. Yeah. I think it was put out to make people's hair stand up. Is it carrying a nuclear weapon? How easy they got in our airspace or in their airspace? This is a German article. Oh, meanwhile, Russia is advancing 15 to 20 kilometers a day. Ukrainian defenses are exhausted. This is from a German publication reporting that Russian troops have partially broken through the fourth line of defense, which in some cases consisted only of barbed wire. Many Ukrainian brigades are in critical condition. They lack both personnel and weapons. Just demoralizing comment for anybody who wants to get into the Slava-Ukraine business. We got bigger fish to fry. Reports came out from multiple places today, but we heard a little bit about it day before yesterday and yesterday. but it was really confirmed by multiple news services that top leadership is leaving Iran. Even some people have reported that the mullah, the ayatollah, the supreme leader, turned over his duties and authorities to the newest commander of the armed forces, who is a mystery man who has not been publicly divulged his name, because the one who replaced the one who was taken out was only in for 4 days, and he got taken out. Now, the story is this fellow stepped up, but 2 things he wanted: anonymity for now, and the supreme leader to surrender his authority. We'll see if that's true or not. 2 additional Iranian government planes have landed in Oman. An Iranian journalist says that sending the 3 government planes to Oman may be to rescue aircraft from being targeted, not to establish a negotiating delegation, because the delegation doesn't need 3 aircraft. A similar measure was taken by Israel at the start of the war, when Wing of Zion, they called it Doomsday Plane, was moved to Athens to avoid getting targeted. I see somebody said that Netanyahu went to Greece. That would be the Doomsday Plane. Meanwhile, Iranian authorities are leaving the country. At least 3 government planes left Iranian territory during the day. These are not reconnaissance planes or saving doomsday planes or fighter planes. These were passenger planes, people with their belongings, cash, high-level government functionaries getting the hell out. Because there are people who are in the opposition. And when this government falls, unfortunately for a lot of people, there's going to be scores that people want to settle. Because this regime has been brutal. Brutal. So anyway, we'll leave them to their... I consider them to be finished, but let me play some clips from Trump. This was during the flag raising. I don't know what kind of order they're in. Here he is. Let's see what he's got to say here. During he doubled down. He put 2 flags up. Ha ha.
What gave you the idea to do this?
I've had it for a long time. The first time I had it, but you guys were after me. I said I had to focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
You guys heard that right. What does that make you think of? If you didn't catch it?
What gave you the idea to do this?
I've had it for a long time. The first time I had it, but you guys were after me. I said I had to focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
He's a hunter. He's a hunter now. They tried to take down the wrong one. Speaking of which, remember when I was doing posts from the 17th letter? And I was giving you words to put in. I'd say phrases, short phrases, words. Like, did they really? And you would come up with, did they really think they could get away with this? Stuff like that. But I also said to put in the word fight. This is from one of the 17th letter posts. If you put in the word fight, you'll get, 30 plus posts. Yes, he really said this. We, the people, are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts. Not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. Abraham Lincoln. What did we have else that came up? I blocked it out. I pulled this one up today. Where the red dot is, I blocked the letter out. Please don't put the letter in the chats. This was from December 13th, 2019. Link to a Breitbart article. A lot of these links still work. Important to read and understand. Why do the D's want to flood the U.S. with illegal immigrants? This is not another 4-year election. Our democracy is at stake. Power and control. Do not mistake this back-channeled tool as a means to be complacent. Fight, fight, fight. Your vote matters. There's the 3 fights that Trump put out after the attempt on his life. And they predicted. This was December 23rd, 2019, a year before 2020 election. Why do they want to flood the U.S. with illegal immigrants? Of course, we know. To tip the balance of power. But here's one. Let me look at the chats and see if anybody caught this. Hi, Justin. How you doing? Yeah, they offered to take the uranium out of there. Dean, how you doing? Like they didn't get enough from the Uranium One deal. Maybe they'll bring that up. Hi, Wanda. Maybe hopefully I won't get in trouble for saying uranium and then one. Let me see. Look at this, Look at this post, folks. You can look it up yourself. June 19th, 2018. What does it say? Free Iran. What? 2018, June. Free Iran. Fight, fight, fight. No exclamation point at the end, though. Regime change. Regime change. We, the people, have the power. We stand with you. This operation, this PSYOP, is worldwide. That's why they banned it. That's why they vilified it. Wait a minute, what's today? June 18th, right? I pulled this up tonight. 6 years, 11 minutes, 4 weeks, 1 day, 19 hours, 47 minutes ago. This post was put up. So tomorrow will be 7 years. 7 years ago, the 17th letter put this up. Free Iran, fight, fight, fight. Regime change. People have the power. We stand with you. Is that a coincidence? Wait a minute. There's no such thing as coincidences. I'm trying to find a post that was put up where Iranian TV got hacked. And here he is. Hackers managed to break into Iranian television and broadcast a call for people to take to the streets. And it played and played and played. White hats. White hats, so we don't got to go in and do it. But in case we do, the show that was put on by Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson has explained to many people why we have to if the local people fail. This is a picture of the Iranian police force in Tehran. Got struck today. That would be their leg breakers. That would be the ones who would quell things in the streets. Well, they don't have a building to go into anymore. And that's a message along. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having the TV, the state TV taken over, encouraging people to go into the streets, and then your headquarters gets blown up? Your supreme leader is in hiding. Donald Trump puts out, we have total control. Here we go. We now have complete and total control over the skies over Iran. Iran has good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured, quote, stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Mike Huckabee sent a tweet which Donald Trump put out on Truth Social. Very odd format, though. Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters. His voice. Remember, Huckabee is stranded in Israel with Scott Jennings. I am your appointed servant in this land, and I am available for you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours. Not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes and ears and voice to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you. Mike Huckabee. It's very moving. I don't know how people who can continue to bash Trump and not realize the enormity of this moment in history. Here is Huckabee here. Ambassador Huckabee getting Americans out of Israel. He said he would be the last to leave. Ambassador Israel Mike Huckabee is developing plans to evacuate Americans from Israel amid growing U.S.-Iran tensions. Why doesn't Newsmax point out that he's there and he'll be the last to leave? CNN I haven't seen him put anything out about Scott Jennings. Any concern? Asking the viewers to keep him in their thoughts and prayers? No, nothing like that, because they don't have thoughts and prayers. When you're a sheep, you can't think. I'm leaving Bob Menendez's face up there so all of them can worry about it. What's next? What's this one? Always be commie? Oh, this is what ABC News worries about. In this biblical moment, like I said, a nearly half-century-old tyrannical regime that I cannot say it on YouTube. If a woman shows too much of her hair, what they do. That the NAACP, first president in 116 years to be not invited to the NAACP convention. How much did that cost the cabal? They're trying to think of everything they can to sully and discredit the president. This has nothing to do with political party. President Derek Johnson said, our mission is to advance civil rights, and the current president has made it clear that his mission is to eliminate civil rights. How much did that cost? Babylon Bee put out something. Ayatollah reveals big surprise was how much he saved on car insurance switching to Geico. Yeah, big surprise, they're saying. People will talk about it for centuries. A threat, like they always do. Threaten, threaten, threaten. And whenever they can, they abuse, abuse, abuse. What's the story behind this, folks? Authorities investigating what? What are they investigating? Federal authorities are trying to determine who has been anonymously ordering pizzas that are then sent to the homes of U.S. lawmakers across the country. Huh. Both Democrats and Republicans in the House have received unsolicited pizza deliveries, according to House Speaker Mike Johnson's office. Pizzas were sent to the current and former leadership of the U.S. Capitol Police. These recent pizza deliveries are troubling and yet again bring to light the heightened threat to the landscape we live in, Capitol Police said in a statement to ABC News. Who's behind that? Who's funding that? Very interesting. What else is interesting? Break-in at Hortman's home in Brooklyn Park. Who's Hortman? Oh, that's the congresswoman from Minnesota that was struck down with her husband by an assassin. They broke into her house. I pulled this picture up. There it is, the back window down at the bottom. And there's a window boarded up above that bush, as they say. Overnight break-in at Hortman's home. Brooklyn Park Police are investigating an overnight break-in at the home of the late Hortman, Representative Hortman, on Wednesday. This comes just days after Melissa Hortman and her husband were fatally shot inside the home in a targeted attack. Police say the family removed valuables from the residence on Tuesday. Wow, that was quick. And it doesn't appear anything is missing. So there's police tape. Let me see what else this one is. Yeah, here's a picture of the window. They pulled the board off and bashed the window in and got in the house. There's police tape all around it, and there's a mobile camera set up, like on a trailer, monitoring the house. Who would do that? What were they after? Was there, you know my thoughts on it, was there somebody other than this creep right here that wanted her gone? Did they want to get something out of her house that might have been stashed somewhere? Minnesota assassin tracker. What's this all about? Tracking connections to Minnesota assassin. We geofenced Bolter's family farm. They're calling it a family farm now. I told you that a lot of people referred to it as an estate and found a unique device. We followed that device for the last 3 years, located in places like Africa, Nepal, and Washington, D.C. We are releasing our data to the public in the interest of transparency. Before he ran out the back, did he stash something somewhere so he wouldn't get caught with it? And somebody came to break in and get it? I'm just surmising, presuming. How many people you know worked at a 7-Eleven and a funeral home live in a place like this? Remember I was telling you about the grape arbors? It's an idyllic location. And it looks like an estate. Where's the money come from? This outfit is called Oversight Project. It's your government on Twitter. First, we located the device. What's that? Device ADID had traveled in the vicinity of Bolter's farm. This is the same area where there was a police helicopter tracing his family residence near Green Isle, Minnesota, before his arrest. We also followed all travel in and around the Minneapolis region. You know, if this group can do it, law enforcement can do it. A lot of people are checking in on this so-called roommate. Less than 50 miles away, he's staying 2 or 3 days a week with some character in another house every week. Were they gay lovers or what? And that's the one who started the business of saying that this guy was a Republican and a Christian. Oh, really? What's more interesting is the amount of international travel linked to his device. Visits to Africa, Nepal, Turkey, India, and Dubai. You all travel before. We're talking in a 36-month period. It ain't cheap. Also visited some major U.S. cities such as Washington, D.C. and other places like the Chicago Yacht Club. Oh, people are going to start digging. People love a mystery. They want to solve mysteries. They're going to be checking in what he worked for Papa John's. What's his story? Oh, I want to play this short clip. Here they're asking Trump about the mullah. The mullah. It's a little hard to hear, but you can see his advice to the mullah.
President, what do you say to the supreme leader of Iran who says that they will not surrender?
Say good luck.
What do you say to Iran? They say they will not surrender. Good luck. Good luck. You don't hear that being played too much. Here's Trump. Let me see. What's this one? I don't even know what things were moving so fast today. We'll see what this clip is.
What's your message to Americans both here and abroad who are not only concerned about the U.S. potentially getting involved in another conflict in the Middle East, but worry about the potential for retaliation here at home?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document. I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, you know. It's a lot of water over the dam. But, you know, it's I say it very simply. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Too much devastation. And they'd use it. You know, I believe they'd use it. Others won't use it, but I believe they'd use it. So that's it. It's very simple as far as I'm concerned. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
He's been saying it for 20 years. And it's time to, here's the kind of memes they're putting up to divide MAGA. Here's the kind of memes they're putting. MAGA, we're getting mass Trump. Deployments of troops in Iran. MAGA, No, we're not falling for this stuff. We're not falling for this. We know what Mr. T's doing, and I'm with Mike Huckabee. I agree with everything Mike Huckabee said. Here's a CIA character talking with Judge Napolitano. Remember Judge Napolitano got mad because he didn't get appointed to the Supreme Court? This guy's a former CIA analyst. Let's see what he's babbling about.
Larry Johnson, welcome here, my dear friend. Is there any doubt in your mind or in really the mind of any objective observers that Donald Trump's speech last week in Saudi Arabia, condemning the neocons, condemning American and Western militarism in the Middle East and promising to be a president of peace was part of a grand subterfuge intended to lull the Iranians and others into a false sense of security?
No doubt whatsoever. Trump is playing a very dangerous double game. And in the process of playing this game, he's completely discredited himself. You know, no leader in the world, especially Vladimir Putin, will trust anything that Donald Trump says going forward.
I stopped it right there for a reason. I'll let it keep going. He's claiming Trump's destroying his credibility and nobody will ever trust him. Putin will never trust him again because they're saying that Trump set the Iranians up with the peace talks. Well, let me tell you one thing. What happened
builds seriousness. His credibility is 10 times stronger. In other words, if he says something, he's going to do it. Everything that's happened, he said he would do. Everything that's happened to Iran, he said would happen to Iran. This guy's got it completely backwards. It's just like Netanyahu was saying. They were jerking Trump around. They were jerking Israel around. They were lying. They were buying time. And Trump said 60 days in the 61st day. If anything, that's going to make people take him more serious.
Forward, particularly after this version of Pearl Harbor on Iran that took place last Friday. And I would remind the Israelis jumping around as euphoria over that strike. Japanese celebrated December 8th, 1941 as well. Didn't turn out too well for them. And I think, unfortunately for Israel, this is going to end in a disaster for Israel.
So he's likening it to a Pearl Harbor on Iran, when Trump has been saying, hold on a second. Squire, welcome aboard. I'm reading what you're saying. Yeah, you can't stand Trump. That's okay. Say in the chats if you are not foul-mouthed or just chat farting is what I call it. Just we can have a good discussion. I welcome people who are listening. Trump said many times, we'll either blow them up peacefully, the uranium and the nuclear bombs, we'll either blow them up the easy way or blow them up the hard way. There was only one choice, was to get rid of the nuclear capabilities. He said, I played the video. And he's been saying it for years. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It wasn't a Pearl Harbor. Just before those strikes came, he said, you may be out of time. Well, what's going to happen? I can't say. But it's not looking good. And they've been warned and warned and warned. I'll tell you one person who listened to Trump. Let me see this clip, right? Where is it? I got a clip of somebody who listened to Trump and is better off for it. Let me see if this is it. I hate these black screen clips because I don't know what they are until I click on them. Let's see what it says.
Have you seen the Tucker Carlson and Senator Ted Cruz interview? It seems like this issue on whether or not the United States should strike is kind of dividing a lot of your supporters.
No, my supporters are for me. My supporters are America first and make America great again. My supporters don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon. Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. And Ted Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me. But nobody thinks it's okay. People that don't want, I don't want to fight either. I'm not looking to fight. But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe we won't have to fight. Don't forget, we haven't been fighting. We add a certain amount of genius to everything, but we haven't been fighting.
Okay, I was going to play that anyway. Where Tucker Carlson called and apologized. Please refer to my earlier comments in the video where I played Tucker Carlson, so you will get the synopsis of what that operation was all about. But this is the clip I was going to play where Trump puts things out plump and plain. And Iran didn't want to listen, but this person listened.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly, power, the likes of which this world has never seen before. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's called walking softly and carrying a big stick. He was talking about Kim Jong-un. And what was the end result? He was the first American president to cross over into the territory of North Korea and shake hands with Kim Jong-un or Il, or whatever his name is. And it was a big step forward to calming down things in the area and a step toward peace. So, yeah. Let me see. Okay, so Squire said thank you. So we're going to keep level-headed as we have our discussion because there's two sides to every pancake. There's two sides to every pancake. And the mainstream media had control of all the information bad about Trump. And the majority of Americans have been exposed for 10 years solid about the bad things about Trump. And I realize that. I understand that. But there's a huge segment of the population that have been going to other sources for their information. And we don't view Trump as an evil dictator, especially someone who's put his life on the line and is right now stamping out international terror. Because that's all Iran was going to do if they got a nuclear weapon. They would have used it and they would have ended the lives of millions of people. And they already have over the course of 40-some years. Here's the type of things that they put up on Midas Trash Network. Again, this Midas Trash Network, it is financed through NGOs and attorneys groups that are always trying to undermine Trump. This is how they think this is funny. The squeaky little tank, because they had a World War II tank or a series of them at the parade. All tanks squeak to honor the military. Well, Trump didn't pick Flag Day to be on his birthday. Flag Day has been around. Look it up. Look it up. Trump was a baby. Oh, it's his birthday parade. Petty things like that. When it was the Army's time to shine. And for people, even John Fetterman said, cool it, give respect to our men and women in the armed forces, enjoy the parade, and just quit being petty. But this is the kind of stuff they put up that they think is funny. They don't care how it's divisive to the country, hurtful. Here's something else that they put up and was criticizing. A horrible situation. This young lady was brain dead. Georgia mom declared brain dead, taken off support days after baby was born. She had a baby fully developed at term. And the doctors kept her alive so the baby would survive. And I was reading comments in things like Midas Trash Network that were so disgusting that they wanted the doctors to let her pass away and the baby. It was unbelievable. And who cares what they think? The baby survived. But who in their right mind would be critical of medical teams? You're an old hat with a Trump grift. Well, you know, he's changed the skyline in New York for the better. For the better, the skating rink, what he's done and what Rudy Giuliani did for New York, we couldn't repay him. You couldn't come up with enough money to repay Donald Trump. So, yeah, if you've known him for 40 years, what do you do? Don't disclose who you are, Squire, but what did you do for a living, or what do you do for a living? Don't go back and forth with people in the chats, please. I don't like arguing in the chats. Just curious as to what your profession was or is. And about that young lady, it's terrible she lost her life. But I guarantee you, there's nothing more powerful than a mother's love. She would have begged those doctors to keep her alive and keep her baby delivered and safe. You're a lawyer? Senior partner for a Wall Street firm. I thought you all knew Trump in the big city. Well, you know, a lot of people, when they get into deals and they come out on the poo-poo end of the stick, they don't like the person who gave them the poo-poo end of the stick. But that's the way it goes in business sometime. Here's a meme for you all to put in your Facebook. Because whatever your opinion, like with Squire, the bottom line is the American people have elected Trump, and we're in times that are extremely dangerous, and we want him to succeed. Whether or not you disagree with him or not, would you rather have nuclear war? Would you rather have a nation like Iran to have the ability to wipe out millions of people? No, nobody wants that. Well, he's a multi-billionaire, so must have been not been too much poo-poo. I got news for you. I've had a lot of real estate. I've had commercial real estate. I've had apartment buildings. I've had single-family homes. I've had all kinds of crap. Restaurants, commercial buildings. The banks always own the property you leverage. You leverage your assets. So, you know, that's what every businessman does. Every business person has their assets leveraged. You must be talking back in 79, 80, 81, 82. It's called reorganization. Now, you should know that, Squire. There's reorganization and there's bankruptcy. Some of these things I'm not going to go through. Here's what the mullah put out. No, this is J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance with the blue sky. '98. Yeah, look what he did with the poo-poo. Well, it sounds like you got sour grapes, Squire. Sour grapes. And Trump is what you call on top of the world. He's what they've always called the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. And he's got billions of dollars. And you're a lawyer, so whatever you're saying, I'm sure you're not exposing yourself to any legal implications. Look how, before I get into J.D. Vance went on Blue Sky and they blocked him and then they put him back up. I'll just go. Blue Sky is where the liberals go to cry, as we all know. Here is some low crap right here. Here's the bottom of the barrel. The bottom of the puke barrel is Jim Acosta. Here's how he makes fun of Trump's ex-wife.
I got a question though. Where are the ICE raids at the Trump properties? Can somebody call ICE on the Trump golf course in Virginia?
Yes,
you're telling me there's nobody in there that is undocumented or has some kind of squirreliness going on with their paperwork? Give me a break. Hey, how many immigrants has he married? He's got one buried at his golf course in New Jersey. Isn't she buried by the first hole or the second tee or something like that?
The first hole, yeah, it's the first hole.
Immigrants always doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do.
I can't stand these videos that have music and little print. But anyway, Jim Acosta made fun of Trump's ex-wife, and the White House has put out a statement, which is true, that he's just a despicable person. A despicable person. That's where they left it. And, you know, Squire, yeah, I'm reading your stuff here. Mike Lindell, he'll, just like Rudy Giuliani, right? We'll see if that stuff holds up. Just like here, E. Jean Carroll. We'll see who gets the poo-poo end of the stick when this is all over with. Here's E. Jean Carroll. She's dreaming how she's going to spend money she hadn't got yet. Just like with the ones with Mike Lindell and Rudy Giuliani. They're all dreaming about the money they haven't got yet.
I know my own pleasures, and they don't. And that doesn't involve buying things. Where my pleasure comes is making him so pissed off he can't think. We need to prick his little balloon constantly, and one of the ways to do that is to give his money to women's reproductive rights.
Oh, hell yeah.
To binding up the wounds of democracy, which he is destroying by the very instant that we're sitting here, shoring up voting rights. Can you imagine how angry he takes this? He made $600 million last year on Bitcoin.
Grifting. And
as Robbie says, do you know anybody except criminals who make money on Bitcoin? No, do we? We don't. Anyway, so it's just so delicious thinking about how pissed off he'll be, how angry that his own personal money is going to help women. Ah, heaven. It's the revenge.
Yeah, revenge, he said. Revenge. Well, let me ask you this. Let's try to stick together with Squire, because I want to ask a legal question. Squire, are you ready for a legal question? If this goes to the Supreme Court, which I believe it will, George Conway helped the legislature push for, what's the guy's name on LinkedIn? Him too, George Conway and the LinkedIn guy. I keep forgetting his name. They pushed for the legislature to change the law concerning the statute of limitations. Are you with me, Squire? Let me know if you're with me about that. Reed, what's his name? Reed, what's his name? George Conway and who's the guy on LinkedIn, the billionaire? Reed Hoffman. Thank you, Todd. Todd's always got those names. Reed Hoffman and George Conway sponsored, pushed, lobbied. You know what that means, Squire? If you're an attorney and you were hanging out with Wall Street guys, you know what lobbying means. That means greasing palms, right? To get the legislature to change the law about the statute of limitations for E. Jean Carroll to be able to sue. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong, Squire? Okay, good. You're with me. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. They got the legislature to change the law concerning the statute of limitations to allow E. Jean Carroll to sue. Am I right or wrong? Okay, thank you. See, we can have good conversations, folks. If somebody disagrees, we don't have to fight amongst each other, and we can have productive conversations because we have an attorney here, or lawyer, attorney, whatever. And hey, let's take advantage of it and ask a question. My question to you, Squire, is this. Does it say in the Constitution that Congress shall pass no ex post facto law? Doesn't it say that specifically in the Constitution? Congress shall pass no ex post facto law. Oh, there's the answer. Yes. Does it have an exception to that? Or it says the word shall pass no ex post facto law? Is there an except in that? Given the supremacy clause wasn't unconstitutional for the legislature to pass an ex post facto law concerning Trump and E. Jean Carroll? Squire, there are no exceptions in the Constitution. It says shall, which is the strongest legal term. They shall, not may. There are no exceptions in the Constitution. Given the supremacy clause, New York has to follow the Constitution of the United States. New York shall not pass any ex post facto law either. And that's the way it's going to get thrown out on. I'm a layman, but I've been around the block. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've flown with princes and I've walked with paupers. And I've been in courtrooms. I've been out of courtrooms. I've won lawsuits. I've had some of my cases go up before the state Supreme Court. In where I reside, which is parts unknown, we got our own court system. And so I'm what you call a pro se. No ex post facto law. After the fact, after the alleged incident happened, and after the expiration of the statute of limitations, they came in after the fact and changed the law. That's forbidden in the U.S. Constitution. And let's see what happens. Because the Constitution is very clear. Constitution is very clear. How many of you folks, let me see, I'm going too long. I got to wrap this up. I got something to tell y'all. How many of you saw this guy right here? I know he got out, right? This guy grabbed hold of a person who was going to be detained by federal agents and would not let go and ended up getting arrested himself. Here's the video.
Keep going. Back up. Sorry, back up. I'm gonna make this difficult. Sorry. Back up. Just back up. That's not causing any problems.
I got to interrupt this for a second. Debbie, you said every state has their own laws. The Supremacy Clause, okay? Federal law. States are subject to the Constitution. Their constitutions have to be in line with the Constitution, the federal Constitution. And under the Supremacy Clause, the federal Constitution takes precedence over any state law. States just can't have their own damn laws if they don't follow the Constitution. I just want to correct you on that. Here's this bonehead deciding that he's going to interfere with federal agents, and he gets himself arrested. He's a comptroller for New York. Namely, he's in charge of money. Squire, he's in charge of money, and he's a mayoral candidate. Damn, boy, wouldn't we like to know what's going on with New York's money, right?
Go and show me the judicial warrant. Where is it?
Sir, where is the warrant?
I have it in my hand here.
I would like to see the warrant. I would like to see the warrant, and then I will let go. I would like to see the warrant, and then I will let go. Take him in. 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 Let's go. You don't have the authority. You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Sir, you don't have the authority to arrest.
Point of order, Squire. I'm taking the time to read your response. It is only ex post facto to create an offense and then try to charge someone with the new criminal offense for actions that predate the passage of the law. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. It says no ex post facto law. It doesn't say criminal law, criminal offenses. It doesn't say statutory filing. It says no law, zero law. They will pass no law. Doesn't say a damn thing about criminal offenses or civil offenses or anything like that. It says no. After the fact, no.
Arrest U.S. citizens. You don't have to. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant. By asking for a judicial warrant? You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens asking for a judicial warrant.
Stay back, please, stay back. Brad, we go too. Sorry. No way. I'm safe. Where are you taking him? Hello? Hi,
Since you have no authority to arrest U.S. citizens, where are you taking me? And with what authority?
Why are you arresting
With what authority?
And where are you taking him? No!
Security details. There's number one is going to go with him, all right? Hang on, please, number one. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Brett, number one right here, all right? Thank you.
Okay. You seen that? Well, I see what you're saying. Interpreted by the courts. Well, the only court that matters is the Supreme Court. That the Supreme Court is the only court that is defined in the Constitution. The Supreme Court is the only court defined in the Constitution, created by the Constitution. All courts underneath are created by Congress. They are creatures of Congress. So their rulings are subject to appeal, subject all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will have to say, and if they have a reading of the Constitution without political graffiti written or in the margins of their minds, and they read the Constitution the way it is, they will come to the conclusion that I'm saying, that the whole purpose is to keep people from going back in time and twisting the law to get somebody. And that's what they did. They twisted the law to get somebody. And that is forbidden in the Constitution. And you'll see when the lower courts, little district, federal court judges, we got 700 and almost 800 of them right now. There's room for 900 and some. They can't run around making up their own laws. Now here's Kathy Hochul. Here she is talking about this comptroller being you don't have to tell me that. I said that, Squire. I said ex post facto means after the fact. It does not say anything about criminal law. It says no law, whether it's civil law, criminal law, or whatever. No law. Go look it up yourself, because you can look it up instead of having to take the time, put all the stuff in the chats. It's very plump and plain. They shall pass no ex post facto law. Kathy Hochul justifying this person interfering with federal agents. Look at her eyeballs. Her Botox is frozen in her eyebrows. Her eyebrows refuse to move. She looks like a Batman villain. Doesn't she look like a Batman villain?
Do you want to know what I really think? Please. It's bullshit. How dare they take an elected official who's been going down there for weeks to escort people who are afraid to walk into a courthouse in the United States of America, because despite them having legal status and following the rules and making their appointments, that they don't know what's going to happen to them. So Brad Lander has stepped up to be a guiding help for them. And this is what happens to them. What the hell is happening to this country? I just left Little Haiti.
This is an insightful insurrectionist right here. She's claiming that these people being arrested by ICE have a lawful presence in the country. Obviously, that's not so, or they wouldn't be getting arrested by ICE. And if they do, they have the right to habeas corpus. They're acting like they get no due process. All this is false. It's intentional. It's an abuse of their office. And as far as attorneys go, it's an abuse of their position as officers of the court to misrepresent the law especially when it's to incite. So anyway, here she's going on with her babble. She got them to let this character go, but watch him get other charges.
People are being traumatized. Small businesses, people walking down the street. When I was there in August, the streets were mobbed. People were walking down the sidewalks. There were vendors everywhere. The traffic was crowded. Today,
vendors everywhere. There were people stealing out of retail stores, setting up blankets on the sidewalk, reselling stolen items. The streets were packed. The streets were busy. The streets were packed with criminal illegal aliens. Now she's complaining that there's nobody in the streets.
there was silence. People are living in fear. One woman just told me the ICE agents are going in and out of buildings there. They came here with legal status. Temporary protective status was legal. Tens of thousands of people came here with legal status, and it's literally ripped away from them.
Their status is over with. The legal status she's claiming was from Otto Pen Joe, who did the toddler squat in front of Macron, who used the bathroom in his pants in front of the Pope, and the legal status is no longer valid, so they have to leave the country according to the law. So she's going to try to pull some kind of stunt, and believe me, and it's a flip of the coin. Which state is going to have their governor removed? It's going to, it could be New York. It could be California. They're the top two in the running. But you're going to have people inciting insurrection, inciting violence, and misrepresenting the law. Ex post facto clause of the Constitution prohibits the government from enacting laws that retroactively criminalize acts. No, I think I already read that. It's real simple. You're making it complicated, Squire Bozorth. You're making it complicated. It's simple. No ex post facto law. That's the end of it. Then the Constitution moves on to other things. Okay? You can't read stuff into it that are not there. Congress shall pass no ex post facto law. Have a nice day. And that's the way that's my two predictions. We will get back together in the future, Squire, and see if I'm right. Whether a governor will actually be removed or have their powers removed by the President of the United States under the Insurrection Act, number one. Number two, that Donald Trump will be found to be exonerated because they created an ex post facto law to frame him in the E. Jean Carroll case. So, what do you think? Hi, Hawks, how you doing? You can't change the rules of the game, and there you have it. We'll see. I could play Arnold Schwarzenegger. I could play Whoopi Goldberg. I'm leaving Senator Bob Menendez up there for any of these politicians, lobbyists, attorneys, whatever, that think they know so much. 11 years in the joint. 11 years in the joint. Here's the Lincoln Trump called them the perverts at the Lincoln Project. Here, what do they say? on November 3rd, 2024. Not only does Trump deserve to lose his election, he deserves prison. Now, 6/12/25, arresting officials from opposing parties is authoritarianism 101. Yeah, and headhunting them after some nonsense, drunken old sot of a woman, in my opinion, is just as bad. I meant to mention this earlier in the broadcast. Anne Burrell, young person, 59 years old. I believe she was 59. I don't know what she passed away from. Didn't I say that none of us know how long we're going to be here? And that's why I always talk about our precious time. Anne Burrell, remembered by chefs and Food Network stars on the heels of her sudden passing. I don't know. I don't know how she passed away. I don't know a lot about her. I watched Food Network sometimes. Haven't you all watched Food Network? And she had flair, she had personality, and she made the show entertaining. Other than that, I don't know anything about her. And I'm sorry she passed away so young. Here's some laws for you, Squire, right here. British doctor arrested for misgendering the baby he just murdered. Oh my, that's Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee came up with that one. Wow. Holy cow, all this stuff I've got here. Wow, I got a video I want to play especially for Squire to see. Two representatives who I think belong in the Lose Your Law License book. I'll play that tomorrow. Anyway, I'll play this. Okay? On the way out. And Bob Menendez, I see you there, Bob. Material assistance. Remember that, Bob. Bob Menendez. Material assistance. If you can give material assistance to put a stop to this criminality and corruption, maybe you'll get a break. I don't know. But anyway, folks, I'll play this little video clip. I hope you all enjoy it. I don't even remember what it's about. And I want to thank you all for spending your precious time with me. Please remember that I have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Anybody who wants to help the channel out. And I appreciate everyone that's given to the channel. And Wayne, and who alerted me, was it, my goodness, I haven't seen him in the chats here in a bit. Maybe Miss Mindersu remembers. Who put into Buy Me a Coffee? But anyway, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Okay? Well, anyway, you all enjoy this clip. I hope you all have a great day, great rest of your evening. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Let's stop pretending. The Democratic Party isn't just losing control. They're building their own extremist cult. That's right. While they scream democracy, they're feeding people fear. While they point fingers at Trump, they're turning their own voters into fanatics who believe every conservative is a walking threat. Genius plan if you're rooting for chaos. They know exactly what they're doing, pumping panic into people's faces every single day. Trump will destroy America. MAGA is a threat to national security. Get ready because he's going to destroy the world. And then they wonder why their own voters are freaking out, fighting in schools, threatening neighbors, calling everyone Nazis, trying to save democracy by burning anyone who disagrees. Paid influencers like Harry Sisson and Aaron Parnas are all in, feeding outrage, chasing clout, and pushing the narrative that more censorship, more control, and, of course, more government is the only way. The radical left has become exactly what they claim to fight. And now the only question is, when the mask finally slips, who's still going to act surprised?